Hello, everyone. Long time. First of all, I would like to congratulate us all, me and you are all. We have finally reached the advanced section of JavaScript documentation, and being at this point is not a easy task. Doing anything uh, keep like staying on a path and keep going is not an easy task. A lot of people, when they start something, they have a lot of energy, and after a point, they lose it also. I know, like, a lot of people must have left after the this point, or after this point, and a lot of people have left after language overview. So, everybody has congratulate you all, because it's just good that we have done something. First thing I should pop out the chat. Um, uh, is my internet bad? Yep, it's very bad. I should change my net once. I hope this. Oh shit. Oh yes, yes, yes. Uh, I was probably a little bit far from the network. I guess this here it looks fine. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Ja Inheritance and prototype chain. So we have done our prototypal inheritance in JavaScript, and we have learned that. So, but I think this will be a more advanced point of view, and most of these topics, JavaScript typed array, memory management will be something new. But these two topics are more advanced version of what we have learned. JavaScript is okay. When it comes to inheritance, JavaScript only has one construct, object. So we have learned that everything in JavaScript except primitive types is an object, and that's why objects play a major role when, like, if you would see type of array, then it's the type of array is an object. So each object has a private property which holds, like, another object called prototype. The prototype, yep, we have done this. Static dispatching. It is possible to mutate any member of prototype chain or even swap the prototype at runtime. So concept like static does not. In computing, static dispatching is a form of polymorphism fully revolved around compile time. In it is form of method dispatch, which describes how language or environment selects which implement. Okay, it's basically speak for cat. So these are in different contexts, I guess. Same function name, but in different context. So okay, it's called static dispatching. While this confusion is often considered to be one of the JavaScript weakness, that prototypal pickle inheritance model itself is, in fact, more powerful than the classic model. For example, fairly trivial to build a classic model on top of prototypal model. Yeah, so we have syntactical sugars like classes, which are implemented on top of the prototypical model. Although classes are now widely adopted and have become a new paradigm in JavaScript classes. Uh, Yeah, they were widely adapted at a point, but they are seeing a point where they are also losing uh, their charm. And I myself like procedural programming, functional programming much more than object oriented. So yeah, but in when it comes to JavaScript, uh, I know that like in different languages, I have different preferences. So, but yeah, so I'm not a big fan of classes. Uh, Inheritance with prototype chain. Inheritance in property. JavaScript objects are dynamic maps of property referred as own property. JavaScript objects have links to prototype objects. When trying to access a property of an object, the property will not only be sought on the object but on the prototype of the object. Sorry, the prototype, and so on until a property with a matching name is found, or the end of the prototype chain has reached. Is used to designate the prototype of some object. Yup, the prototype internal slot can be accessed with prototype of and object dot set prototype of. This is equivalent to JavaScript accessor dash dash proto dash dash underscore basically, which is non-standard but de facto implemented by many JavaScript engines to prevent confusion while keeping it succinct in a notation. We will avoid using object. Okay, yeah, but use object. Yep. Instead, this corresponds to object dot get prototype of object. Uh, I have a little bit of cough and cold, so please don't mind that. And that was the reason I've like uh, one of the reason, because I was also in a marriage, but yep. So it should not be confused with function dot prototype property of function. While instead it specifies the prototype to be assigned to all instances of object created by the given function when used as a constructor. We will discuss the prototype property of constructor function in later section. There are several ways to specify the prototype of an object, which are listed in a later section. For now, we will use that's betrayal. They said that they'll be using this syntax, and now they are using this. So in an object literal like A1, B2, and proto is C. Okay, the value new C which has to be either null or another object will become the prototype of the object represented by the literal, while the other keys like A, B will be unknown. Yep, yep. Basic easy. Setting a prototype to an object creates its own property. The only exception to getting and setting behavior rules is when it is intercepted by getter or setter. Similarly, you can create longer prototype chain or a prototype will be sought on them. Yeah, yeah, creating different chains, inheriting methods. JavaScript does not have methods in form of class-based language. Yep, define them. In JavaScript, any function can be added to an object in form of a property. Yep. So, like this, basically like this. A method function acts like as an other property, including property shadowing is shown above. When an inherited function is executed, the value of this points to the inheriting. object, not the prototype object, which where the function is an own property. Exactly. So parent is this. It has a method. Parent dot method. It will return uh, basically 2 plus 1, 3. We have a child. Proto is parent, and so parent is the prototype. And now child dot method. Uh, this refers to child. So when child inherits the method of the parent, the property value is sought on child. However, since child does not have, exactly, I was a bit confused that why the answer should have been like undefined or not a number, like this dot value plus one, and this would be undefined. So I for child, so I thought that should give an error, but as value is defined on the parent, it gives three. That's exactly. So child, now we set child not value. Now we get five constructors. The power of prototype in that we can reuse a set of properties if they should be present on every instance, especially for methods. Suppose we are to create a series of boxes where each box is an object that contains value which can be accessed through a getValue function. A naive implementation would be value, getValue, and yeah. But that uh, obviously we have for this we are adding getValue to all the functions, which is not very uh, beneficial to us. So for that we can just add a prototype, but though normally just changing the prototype is not a good idea. We should append a get value to this prototype. That would be a better option. This is subpar because each instance has its own functional property that does the same thing, which is redundant and unnecessary. This instead we can move. Yep. This way, all boxes get value method will refer to the same function, lowering the memory usage. However, manually binding the prototype. So for every object creation is still very inconvenient. Exactly, that's what I was saying. This is when we use the constructor function, which automatically sets the prototype for every object manufactured. Constructor are function called with new function box value. This dot value, basic a constructor function basically. Box the prototype dot value is equals to function return this dot value. Hmm. And we are making new objects. We say new box one is an instance created from box constructor function. Box prototype is not much different from box prototype objects we created previously. They are like uh, the difference is that now it's just adding get value. At there it was just replacing the prototype, which was not a very good option. Though I've seen even better options. So which is to append a get value. Like this is almost the same. Yeah, yeah. This I've seen a different syntax, but yeah, this is the same thing. By default, one has uh, own property constructor which reference the constructor function itself. This is box.prototype.constructor is equals to box. This allows one to access the original constructor for any instance. The constructor function can be written in classes as class box constructor value. This is the value get value. Yeah, exactly. We saw class-based syntax. We saw function how this works. Uh, a corollary is reassigning constructor property. bad idea for two. The prototype, for instance, created before the assignment is now referencing a different object from prototype of instance created after the assignment. Mutating one's prototype is or no longer mutates the other. Unless you manually reset the constructor property, the constructor function can no longer be traced from instance constructor, which may break user expectations. Some built-in operations will read constructor property as well, and if it is not set, they may not work as expected. Constructor.prototype is only useful when constructing instances. It has nothing to do with constructor.prototype, um, which is constructor function's own prototype, which function.prototype, that is object.getPrototype of constructor is equals to function.prototype. Cool. Uh-huh. Function's own prototype. Okay, okay. Implicit constructors of literals. Some literal syntaxes in JavaScript create instances that implicitly set the product. For example, um, how's the string? It's going good. Const object A1 get prototype of object or product true. Array get prototype true. Exactly. We can de-sugar them into their constructor form. Okay. Um, Syntactical sugar. Uh, I did not see like this expression, this sugar being used, like, or the expression syntactical sugar being used in this documentation. So I was a bit uh, like excited to see this because when you see something that you know in a documentation, you feel like, oh yes, I already know this. Uh, Nothing much more. Okay. Um, are simply methods defined on array.prototype, which is they can automatically be available on all array instances. Doing monkey. Okay, so there's a misfeature. Defining array.prototype.myMethod is equals to function and then using myMethod. This misfeature is called monkey patching. Doing monkey patching risks forward compatibility because if the language adds this method in the future but with different signature, the code will break. Exactly. It has led to incidents like Smooshgate. Okay. So somebody implemented their prototypical flattened function and JavaScript added that. Um, Bro. We'll read this sometimes. The only reason for extending a built-in prototype is to backport the feature to newer plugin. So it may be interesting to note that due to historical reasons, some built-in constructor prototypes are instances themselves. For example, number.prototype is number a zero array.prototype is empty array. And example. Sorry, this is not the case for modern constructors like map or user-defined constructors. So, wow. The constructor property will become the prototype of the constructor inheritance as is, including constructor prototype own prototype. By default, constructor.prototype is plain object, that is object.get prototype of constructor.prototype. Is the only exception is object.prototype itself, whose prototype is null. That is, therefore, a typical constructor will build the following prototype chain: function constructor, new constructor, constructor.prototype, object.prototype, null, basically. But to build longer prototype chain, we can set prototype of constructor.prototype by object.set prototype of function. Yeah, we can set that. Why do we want longer prototype? Hmm. We can do this basically. In last term, this is equivalent to extend syntax. Okay. Function base, function derived, set prototype derived, not prototype, is equals to base dot prototype. Cool. From object we get derived prototype, we get base prototype, we get object and all. Hmm. It's like the extend syntax and class base. You may also see some legacy code using object.create to build inheritance chain. However, because of this reassigns the prototype property and removes the constructor property, it can be more error prone. So don't use object.create like this. Functions are able to have properties. All functions have special property named prototype. Please note that code below is freestanding. It is safe to assume that there is no other JavaScript on the web page other than the code below. For the best learning experience, it is highly recommended to open console and navigate the console tab, copy paste the below JavaScript code and run it, pressing enter run key. The console is included in most. Yep. Function do something. Console log do something dot prototype. Let's just do this. Uh, let's go. So we this is a constructor function. So we get constructor as the prototype, and the prototype will be this will be the object prototype that will, and that's the chain. So that will go. But for arrow function, it does not matter how to declare a function. Our function in JavaScript will always have a default prototype property, with one exception. An arrow function does not have a default prototype property. Oh. Hmm. Arrow functions don't have a prototype property. Okay. Arrow functions are also not constructor functions, so that could also be a reason. As seen above, do something has default prototype property that is demonstrated after running the code. The console should have displayed this constructor prototype. Yep. You can add properties to prototype of do something as shown below. Yep, we have seen this, so this is the prototype now. Yeah, that was what I was doing wrong. I should have opened this prototype is this for the do something function and and let's let's do this. And we're gonna go longer. We have seen this. You can use the new object to um, make a function like and make a new object from the constructor function. Prototype do something is do something but what does this do? This when you have access a prototype to something some the running first loop is as that prototype. Okay, function do something dot prototype dot foo is equals to bar const do some instancing is equals to new do instancing instancing dot prop is equals to some value and in that we get prototype foo and bar also. Foo is equals to bar and I guess we'll get prop as some value. Yep. Mm. Similar things like basically just more verbose. We have seen all this, so um, just more a more verbose way of writing. They are uh, like telling you each and everything. You can like basically look at this. Like do if you what answer will you get and you'll find different ways of creating and muting prototype type chain. Yeah, now this thing is very important because um, a lot of people mutate the prototype chain very badly and then it causes a lot of problem in standard JavaScript. So B F return to const P is equals to B to proto is equals to O. A newly created object O object prototype has its own prototype. Object prototype has null as its prototype. Yep. Array prototype um, which it inherited, like it has object prototype and which is the uh, function prototype, object prototype, null. It is possible to point the newly created object prototype to another object via proto-literal property, not to be confused with object.prototype.proto-accessor. Yep. Pros supported pointing the product key to something that is not an object only phase silently without throwing an exception. Contrary to object.prototype.proto setter, a proto is object literal initializer is standardized and optimized and can even be performant than object.create. Yep. Declare extra own property on object to create more ergonomic than object.create. Not supported in older browser. Likely to be confused with object.prototype.protoaccessor, which people are aware of the difference. With constructor function graph we are uh, supported in all engines, going very well back to yep. In order to use this method, the function in question must be initialized. During initialization, the constructor may store unique information and must be generated pre-object. This unique information would only be generated once, potentially leading to problems. The initialization of constructor may put unwanted method onto object. Both of those are generally not problem in practice. Exactly. We have seen that object.create is not to be used. So uh, class polygon on constructor class square extends polygon. It has a constructor area function, sideline function, and new square, which basically a square is a polygon and supported and all very high readability maintained. Yeah, the benefit of class is that it is very readable. Like and the grouping of methods and values, data and values is very easy to understand. So that's a very big benefit of classes. But still, when it comes to real development, I don't find a lot of people like using class based, especially in web. Probably there might be different use cases where people do use classes in JavaScript, but currently at this stage, like React used to use classes and now they have stopped mostly. Like they still support classes, but no one uses it. So that's the case. Things change, and I don't think they can update the documentation with every any change. React is updating the documentation. I'm waiting for that. A few series that I plan after this is Node.js. If the new React docs are ready, I'll go for that and TypeScript. So these three things. Um, I also want to do Golang, but I think I should get a bit better in that. Or like currently I don't understand anything on Golang, so I don't know if like while reading I could explain much of that. So um, const object is equals to A1 another object B2 set prototype object another object. Uh, Supported in more modern forces. Ill-performing should be avoided and if it's possible to set the prototype of at an object's creation time, many engines optimize for uh, guess the look. Yep. With proto accessor, non-standard deprecated. Okay. Performance. The lookup time for properties that are high up on prototype chain can have negative impact on the performance, and this may be significant in the code where performance is critical. Additional trying to access non-existent properties will also traverse the full prototype chain, which is not a good. Although when iterating over the properties of an object, every enumerable property has that is on prototype chain will be enumerated. To check whether an object has property defined on itself or not somewhere in prototype chain, it is necessary to use has own property or object.hasOwn method. All objects expect those with null as prototype inherited has own property from object.prey unless it has been overridden further down the prototype chain. To give you concrete example, let's take the above graph example and go to we saw like the graph above. Uh, where's the graph? Yep, I guess. No, not this. It's yep, this vertices, edges. Add vertex is a function on the graph. Has a property vertices, has one uh, true, has one true, is not there, add vertex. Basically, it's in the prototype, so that's why the now we are getting prototype of, then we are getting has one property, and that comes to be true. That's why add vertex is showing false in these two cases. Earphones, yeah. It's not enough to check whether the property is undefined. The property might well exist, but value just happens to be set to undefined. Exactly. Conclusion. First and yeah, they had conclusion. Uh, JavaScript may be a bit confusing for developers coming from. It's not very confusing. It's just different as it is all dynamic, all runtime, and has no static types at all. Everything is either. First time I came from C++ to JavaScript, I was actually very well relieved that, oh my God, I don't have to follow a lot of rules, a lot, no, like there's almost nothing as pointer here, so pointers are gone. Um, and for a beginner, JavaScript is a very beginner friendly language. After a point, though, when you get deeper into it, that which we are getting into, uh, it gets like it gets very deep and it gets very lengthy and it has a lot of things. But if you start as a beginner, you can do basic stuff and JavaScript does not um harass you a lot, while C++ plus plus or Java, they are very particular upon on some things. And as a beginner, you have to learn a lot. So that's good with JavaScript. Everything is either an object instance of function constructor, or even function themselves are instances of function constructor. Even the classes as syntax constructors are constructor functions at runtime. All constructor functions in JavaScript have special property called prototype, which works with new operator. The reference to prototype object is copied to internal prototype property of new instance. For example, const a1 is equals to new a. JavaScript after creating the object invariably and before running function with this defined on it sets a1 dot prototype is equals to a prototype. Yep. When you access properties of instance, JavaScript first checks whether they exist on the object directly, and if not, it looks in prototype. It goes to the prototypal chain to find the value, etc. Basically, this. If an example about const, const then a1 dot do something would actually refer to Basically, different objects of a constructor formed by a constructor refer to uh, the same method, but and so from the constructor function. It is essential to understand the prototypal inheritance model before writing complex code that makes use of it. Also, tomorrow we'll do this short and sweet JavaScript type data. I love it when it's short and sweet. Um, uh, no chats today. Please do like, subscribe. Um, I thought today we have 6 viewers, and today I didn't open it, so these six are viewers that did join till KDVNC advanced. Oh, advanced, bro. See, thank you for joining. I guess that's it. Bye bye.